Arsenal have a big creativity problem with Eberechi and Martin Odegaard. Gunners' creativity hub is not producing the goods. It was a dramatic end to what should have been a straightforward night for Arsenal as they beat Crystal Palace on penalties to reach the Carabao Cup semi-finals. Maxence Lacroix's unfortunate own goal looked to have given Arsenal a late lead, but they were pegged back in stoppage time by Mark Gay, whose goal forced penalties and thrust Kepa Arrizabalaga into the limelight. The Arsenal goalkeeper was the hero on the night, saving low to his right from Lacroix's spot kick, but Arsenal should have been out of sight long before Kepa was called into action. The Spaniard's save in the penalty shootout was his very first of the night, as Arsenal dominated 4 long periods with little reward against Palace. Mikel Arteta made a number of changes for the visit of Palace, but it seemed as though it would be business as usual early on as Noni Madueke spurned a glorious opening over just 3 minutes. It would be the first of several good openings Arsenal would waste, with the returning Gabriel Jesus also guilty of missing from close range a first half. Arteta is aware that his side have been getting away with not taking their chances in front of goal recent weeks, and Arsenal's wastefulness was punished emphatically when Gehi stole him from a free kick to stab home a 95th minute equaliser. Speaking after the game, Arteta was less critical of his side's lapse in concentration at the back and more concerned that they had kept Palace in the game by not capitalising on their dominance. "We generated a lot, and the margin should have been much bigger," Arteta said in his post-match press conference. After 94 minutes, they weren't, and when that happens, the teams have the quality to hurt you in any set piece, and we conceded the goal. And that was emotionally tough to accept after the way the game went. Arsenal kept their cool from the penalty spot to seal a semi-final meeting with Chelsea. But Arteta will know that with Manchester City breathing down their necks in the race for the Premier League title, they cannot afford to be so profligate. Recent nervy wins against Wolves and Everton have been marred by missed chances, and with the fixture list throwing up for successive games in which Arsenal dropped points last season, there is a pressing need for the Gunners to rediscover their form in front of goal. Sometimes you have to give credit to the opposition and the way they've done it, but I think the margin should have been much bigger. That should have been 3 or 4. And then we're not worried about what happens in the last minutes. Arteta has called for Arsenal to continue what they are doing. He's not worried about the number of chances they are creating. "I think what we have to do is continue to generate the chances that we do, and conceding nothing," he said recently. That said, in a game of increasingly fine margins, the fact Arsenal trail their rivals for chances created this season, they sit 4th behind Manchester City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, is a cause for concern. Midfielder Declan Rice is carrying the creative burden for Arsenal right now. The Englishman is enjoying a stellar campaign and is 3rd for big chances created in the Premier League. However, Arteta needs more from Martin Odegaard and Eberechi, who have created 5 big chances combined this season. By contrast, City duo Ryan Cherki and Jeremy Doku have a combined 19 big chances created. Odegaard's injury issues provide some context to that statistic, but regardless, Arteta needs more from his creative players. These are minor adjustments to a well-oiled Arsenal machine, on course to challenge on 4 fronts this season, but Arteta knows better than anyone that to ward off the interests of a resurgent City, the pursuit of perfection, just continue in earnest. Brian Brobby at Sunderland, Emiliano Buendia at Aston Villa, Toru Arokadere against Wolves, and now Mark Gehi versus Crystal Palace. "It's something we have to improve. We're conceding in the last minute," said goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga after the latest one. Normally, such a trend would cause angst and doubt about a team's credentials, especially a side like the Gunners who have struggled to make that final step in recent years. That doubt would even hark back to the days when Arsenal were frail at the back under multiple managers, Arsene Wenger's late years, Unai Emery's entire tenure, and even the early era of Arteta. But the reason Arteta is not concerned is because Arsenal's troubles late on in games are not defensive issues, they are attacking ones. The margin should have been much bigger, said Arteta after the Carabao Cup win over Palace on penalties, referring to the 1-0 lead Arsenal took into stoppage time, something they also did at Sunderland and Wolves. That should have been 3 or 4, and then we're not worried about what happens in the last minutes. That was certainly the case against Crystal Palace, and once again Arsenal's attack seems to be drying up in December. In incredible numbers, it has been over 300 minutes since an Arsenal player scored a non-penalty goal. Since the hour mark in the 3-0 win over Club Brugge, the Gunners have relied on 3 own goals, 2 from Wolves and 1 from Palace, and the Victor Gyökeres penalty at Everton. Own goals and penalties are not something to be ashamed of, they are the sign of creating chaos among the opposition defence that force mistakes. But the data shows Arsenal's players should have scored at least 6 times in their last 3 games yet couldn't manage one.